the Janice McQueen Show. I am Janice McQueen and I'm here in Los Angeles, California. And my next guest has been in the visual arts industry for over 40 years as director of photography, as a photographer, as well as a cameraman. Joseph Pier, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Very good, and I'm honored to be on your show.
Well, it's so great to have you. You're one of my dearest friends, and I've known you for how many years now? 15 years.
15, yeah.
And of course, I know you from the pageant industry,
Yeah,
but you
photographed you when you got your first crowning as the official Mrs. United States.
I know. So, and that photograph means so much to me, and your work is beautiful, and I want to talk about that today because you really do capture more than just the picture. You really capture the essence of the person, I feel, with your photography. So why don't you talk about what you see when you look through a camera lens?
Well, most of my subjects are female or human, let's put it this way. And what I try to do is work with the people to get them comfortable. Sometimes you can sort of tell right off the bat when you meet people what their attitude is, how, a lot of times they're nervous, so you try to get them to relax, and my goal is to get them to relax enough so that they're not modeling, that they're just doing a performance, but not a modeling situation, because that tends to be very stiff. And once we start having fun, I start getting better images than just say, stand there and pose, so that's kind of what I enjoy doing.
Oh, well, that's great. I never thought about it like that, because when you do take a still photo, I guess people think that they have to model for the camera or stand still, but you actually capture the action.
Right. I usually ask them to perform as opposed to model. So sometimes professional models have a hard time because they feel that they have all their poses down, and you try to say, like, okay, let's try and do an action. Like, you're going to start like this and you're going to end up like that. So let's perform it. We'll do it a couple of times, and after a while, they start forgetting about modeling and they start sort of enjoying what they're doing.
And they're present.
Right.
They're actually present. And that's what you capture. I think you capture the moment, and it has a statement because it is an action more than just stationary.
And what I like to do is, I think what my pictures show is people having fun. I try to have that expression come out, even though it may be a serious image. I still want them to be, sort of glowing and coming out and enjoying the moment of working with me.
That's great. So you also work as a cameraman. So how did you get your start? Did you start as a cameraman or a photographer?
Well, I started as a photographer, and I was up in Toronto, Canada, and I was doing commercials for a car product. And next door they were starting to do commercials on videotape. This is many, many years ago. So I was talking to the gentleman, and they said, oh, we have a training program. So through that training program, I got into the business, and after 20 years in Canada, I moved to Los Angeles and continued doing that. The best part about it is that I got to travel, and one of the jobs that I did was Miss Universe, and that's how I connected with the pageant world. I started doing Miss Universe as a camera operator, and Miss USA and Miss Teen USA, and then through there I met other people, and then I started doing some of the state pageants as photography. The camera work is great as a video cameraman, but I still am more of a mechanic because I don't get to create the situation. I have a passion for photography because I have the opportunity to work as a director, as a lighting person, as the photographer itself. So that gives me more of a creative input. I definitely enjoy being a camera operator, and I've been very lucky to do some of the top shows in the industry. So it's been a very good life for me, so I've enjoyed that.
Well, talk about some of the shows that you've worked on.
Well, I've done, some of the popular ones for some of the people that are here. I've done American Idol. I did the first 4 years of that. Then I did a show called Deal or No Deal, and I did a couple of the magic shows with David Copperfield and stuff like that. Right now I'm working on a show for Comedy Central called At Midnight, which is very above my intellectual, because it's all about nerds and all geared to the internet and young people, but it's still fun and it's a very fun show to work on.
Well, it is a great show. I've been fortunate enough to be able to be in the audience because I really enjoy the live performance, and it is a great show. And I know you've had such longevity in the business, over 40 years in the industry as a cameraman and photographer, although I can't believe that it's been that long because you look so young. But how do you claim that success? What do you think the key is to success and longevity in the business? Well,
there's obviously many elements, but the most important thing is that you communicate with your director or the production company. And what we call it, unfortunately, the industry itself is a very closed industry, and it's hard to break into the industry because you have to get on the list. and whether, you know, sometimes you fill in for another cameraman so you get to meet a new director,
Right.
and that therefore you start, you know, it's really word of mouth. I mean, you can have the best resumes, but it's still, you know, word of mouth and having people know you that will request for you to be on their show as an operator of any sort.
If you could give any advice to your younger self breaking into the industry, what piece of advice would you give?
Well, you know, the industry has changed so much because it used to be a lot more complicated because, you know, the equipment was expensive, the editing was expensive. Nowadays, you know, I have a grandson that does phenomenal videos with his little GoPro. So it's, you know, I almost recommend you try and do your own, like you're doing, or do your own production because, you know, the industry itself is so enclosed, it's, you know, but if you're creative, go ahead and produce your own stuff, and then perhaps, like, you know, on YouTube or other ways, the world will see you and probably hire you. Because a lot of people have done independent films. You know, it's hard for me to say, like, you know, write up a great resume or go to some, you know, NYU school of film. It's still, you're going to start as a production assistant, you know, which is the, I mean, yeah, everybody starts that way, and it is a tough thing because it's the most used and worked part of the industry, but it's the least paid. But you meet your contacts. Once again, it's all about the contacts.
Yeah, I think that's what Hollywood is all about, is networking and who you know,
Yeah.
but being smart about it and not giving up. Perseverance is obviously part of it. You have 40 years of success, perseverance. So tell us, what has been the favorite show that you've ever worked on?
You know, there's so many shows. I mean, as I said, I love to travel, so I've had the, you know, as I said, the energy of a live show like a Miss Universe, and you're in Thailand or in China, you know, dealing with the world itself is so different. Their time frames and stuff like that are so different from America. And at 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, you know, in the evening we're going live. And I mean, I've been in situations where the satellites are not going up, so there's that tension of a live show. So I would say live shows are great. I mean, I've worked with David Copperfield on some of his shows, and we won an Emmy for that. And it's hard to just say that there's a specific show. I've just been very lucky and have enjoyed the industry and have had the opportunity to be in a lot of great shows and productions.
That's great. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. And I know we have a lot more that we could talk about, but you'll have to come back again and join us. If you want to reach Joe, he is available on Facebook at Joe Pier. Just look him up. You can see some of his beautiful work there, and look for his show at midnight on Comedy Central. And he is such a dear friend and fantastic man, and I really have appreciated you being on our show. Join us next for Dating with Fit Chef Katie.